Hey, it's Keith from the CTOadvisor.com with today's CTO Daily Dose. We're going to talk about the fun topic of compliance and audit. Yay! You know what? What makes it fun is that we're talking about the impact of a concept such as serverless on audit and compliance, security in general. We're going to pick on one of my favorite beating horses, and that's PCI. So one of the PCI controls is, I think it's PCI control 11.4. Me and my tech field day buddies, Tex I Will on the Twitter and Yvonne Sharp, we got to talking through on Slack about the impact of PCI on your application design, specifically serverless. One of the requirements is PCI 11.4, which is you must have a network intrusion detection system (IDS) or IPS system to prevent or detect intrusions. So how does that really work in Lambda? If there's no servers associated with your application, you can't really create any kind of border. There's no edge of the Lambda network to identify and filter traffic. I couldn't put a firewall on either side of this with an IPS on. If this is your data center network with your private PCI data, with your card data residing in your data center, we had some Lambda microservices running in AWS, and that data has to transit the Lambda service. There's no way to put IPSs on either side of that. I can put it on the side leaving my data center, but I can't detect connections coming from the internet into Lambda or anywhere for that. This can be another data center on the other side of this connection, and there's no facility from AWS to guard against, or not necessarily guard against, but to detect intrusions to Lambda. This is an AWS ran service. So all of this resides in AWS's network. They're responsible for protecting the Lambda service itself. So I can't go to AWS as part of my QSA audit, part of my PCI audit. QSA does the audit, and say, you know what, give me the IPS logs for my Lambda instances. That kind of doesn't exist. So serverless breaks this 11.4 requirement that you put IDS, IPS in front of your card data. So how do we get around that? Well, obviously, in Lambda itself, as I build applications, I can build that to one that I'm only passing encrypted data. I can have key and key management systems. I can show that the data that's transient Lambda into my data center, if I'm transferring card data out of my data center into Lambda and out to the public internet or wherever it's going to go, I can show that I have controls around that. That needs to be explained to a QSA so that they understand that while there may not be IPS involved, you do have the logical controls to ensure that the data is protected. I have to tell you that that's going to be a tough conversation. Most QSAs, the last time I ducked my head into PCI audit, are not that sophisticated to understand this level of abstraction, the concept of serverless. So, what does that mean from your application? You know what? For the most part, I would say to go to the guidance of your cloud provider. Cloud providers have had these conversations with dozens, if not hundreds, of customers on what type of data is best suited for what platform. Lambda isn't advertised as a secure platform for transactions or for private, specifically for credit card data or FDA data or HIPAA data. The AWS is really good at supporting specific compliance needs. So if they don't advertise Lambda as a target for this type of application, I'd advise putting that type of data in that application. Their RDMS services, their CDN, other past applications are recommended for secure data or regulated data. I tend to build applications around those services versus Lambda until AWS blesses it. Once AWS does bless it, they can refer you to consultants or processes in order to support QSA audits in the meantime. So, you know what? Mixed news. We got the concept of what Lambda does. Bad news, they're really not a great facility for meeting audit controls like 11.4. However, we will get AWS and Azure and Google, all these services will continue to adapt and work through and help identify what controls are available within the service or via third party to meet your PCI or audit requirements. That's it for this CTO Daily Dose. Talk to you guys next Daily Dose. If you want to engage in the conversation, simply search the hashtag CTO Daily Dose, and you'll find this on Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Talk to you guys tomorrow.